everyone. We are back with Chapter 3, Applying Rational Numbers, and now we're working on Lesson 2, Multiplying Decimals. So there's a variety of steps to multiply decimals. We're going to multiply 2.7 times 4.3. So the first step is just to ignore the decimals and multiply the numbers as normal. So don't worry about the decimals when you're multiplying. Now, when you're adding and you're subtracting decimals, you have to worry about the decimals because you have to line them up. However, for multiplying, don't worry about them. So I'm going to keep them in the problem when I write it, 2.7 times 4.3. So they're still there, but I'm not worried about them as I'm multiplying, okay? So, and then we just multiply. We just multiply these numbers like normal. So that's what we're going to do. 3 times 7 is 21. So I'm going to write the 1, carry the 2. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. And now I'm going to the tens place, so I need to add a 0 in the ones. And so 4 times 7 is 28. I write an 8 and carry a 2 again. And then 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 would be 10. So then I just add the numbers down. 1 plus 0 is 1. 8 plus 8 is 16. Write the 6, carry the 1. 1 plus 0 is 1, and then we have 1 again. Now, we get to the second step, which says count the total number of decimal places in each factor. So whenever you're dealing with multiplication, each of these numbers is called a factor. So 2.7 is called a factor, and 4.3 is called a factor when you're dealing with multiplication. So it says count the total number of decimal places in each factor. So 2.7 has 1 decimal place, and 4.3 has 1 decimal place. So what that kind of leads us into step 3, which says the answer should have the same number of decimal places as the sum of the decimal places. So sum means we're adding. So that basically means, hey, there's 1 decimal place here. There's 1 decimal place there, so you take the sum, 1 plus 1, which equals 2. That means right here in our answer, it has to have 2 decimal places need to be right here. So this would, if we start here, that would be 1 decimal, that would be 2. So we have 2 decimal places, which is the same as the sum of the decimal places up there. So that means our answer is actually 11.61, and that's how you multiply decimals. Now there's this other thing, and we're just not going to worry about that. Okay, so just ignore that, and we're going to go on to the next page where you are going to practice this on your own, and you're just going to go ahead and multiply these numbers. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So go ahead and get started. You can do the first couple and then go ahead and pause. Work out the first couple, then press play. I'll go over the answers. You'll see how you did. Okay, we'll see you in a little bit. See you in a bit. Okay, we're back. Let's go ahead and multiply the first one. So remember, the first step is just don't worry about the decimals. We're going to write them down. 6.7 times 9.1, but we're not worrying about them. Now we just multiply like normal. 1 times 7 is 7, 1 times 6 is 6. And then we're to the tens place, so we need to add a 0. We need to write down a 0 in the ones. And so now we're dealing with the tens. 9 times 7 is 63. We write the 6. We carry the 6. 9 times 6 is 54. Plus 6 would be 60. 54 plus 6, yep. Okay, then we just add. So 7 plus 0 is 7. 6 plus 3 is 9. Just 0 and 6. And now we have to count up the decimal places here. So we have 1 decimal place here, 1 decimal place here. 1 plus 1 equals 2, which means our answer needs to have 2 decimal places. So that means we're going to put the decimal right there. So our answer is 60.97. So I hope you got that one right. Okay, let's move on to problem number 2. we have negative 3.21 times 8.8. So we have a negative multiplied by a positive, and whenever you multiply a negative times a positive, you know your answer is going to be negative. So we just have to keep that in the back of our mind. We don't need to worry about it right now. We just know that our answer is going to be negative. Okay? So, perfect. Our answer is going to be negative. So let's just go ahead. We're going to write down the numbers. So 3.21 and then 8.8. I'm not worried about the decimals. I'm writing them, but I'm not worried about them. So I'm just going to do the regular multiplication. So 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Carry the 1. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus 1 is 25. Now I'm in the tens place. Got to write a 0 down. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Write the 6. Carry the 1. 8 times 3 is 24 plus 1, which would be 25. Now I'm going to add. 8 plus 0 is 8. 6 plus 8 is 14. Carry the 1. 6 plus 5 is 11. Plus 1 would be 12. Write the 2. Carry the 1. 5 plus 2 is 7. Plus 1 is 8. And then we have 2. Okay, now we have to look at the decimal places. So 3.21 has 2 decimal places. 8.8 has 1 decimal place. So that is 2 plus 1 decimal place, which equals 3. So that means our answer has to have 3 decimal places. So that would be 1, 2, 3. So this is where we put our decimal. So that means our answer is 28.248. Right there. Oh, but we have to remember it is a negative times a positive, so our answer is going to be negative. It's negative 28.248. All right, I hope you got that one right, and I hope you remembered the negative. So let's go on to problem number 3. All right, we have 4.1 times 0.8. So we are going to go 4.1 and 0.8. We're just writing them down. We're multiplying. The decimals don't matter at this point. We're just going to multiply like normal. So 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 4 is 32. And then there's a 0, and we don't need to worry about that. So now is the time to count the number of decimal places in each factor. So there's 1 here. There's 1 here. 1 plus 1 equals 2, which means there's going to be 2 decimal places. So that's 1 and that's 2. So our decimal goes right here. So it's 3.28. That is our answer. Okay? Let's go on to problem number 4. 12.3 times a negative 2.7. So for this one, we have a positive multiplied by a negative again. So whenever you multiply a positive by a negative, you know your answer is going to be negative. Okay, so we have to remember that. But right now, that's just something we're going to add at the end of the problem. We don't need to worry about it right now. So we're just going to write down the numbers. So 12.3 and 2.7. And we're just going to multiply. 7 times 3 is 21. Write the 1, carry the 2. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 2 would be 14 plus 2 is 16. Write the 6, carry the 1. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8. Now we're to the tens place, so I need to add a 0 here. We're going to go 2 times 3, which is 6. 2 times 2, which is 4. And 2 times 1, which is 2. And then we add up all of these numbers. 1 plus 0 is 1. 6 plus 6 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 4 plus 8 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. Write the 3, carry the 1. And then 1 plus 2 is 3. All right, perfect. So now it's time to count up the decimal places. We have 1 decimal place here and another one right there. So 1 plus 1 equals 2. So there's going to be 2 decimal places. So that's 1, 2. So that means our decimal goes right here. So our answer is 33.21, but we cannot forget that at the start we had a positive multiplied by a negative, so that means our answer is going to be negative 33.21. So I hope you got that one correct. All right, so let's go on to problems 5, 6, 7. I just want you to multiply these decimals. I don't want you to worry about estimating to find the place of the decimal point. So let's not worry about that at this point. Let's just multiply these. Okay, perfect. So here we go. We're just going to write these down. So 2.067.9. I'm just writing the numbers down. I don't care about the decimals at this point. And I'm just going to multiply by like normal. 6 times 9, or 9 times 6 is 54. Write the 4, carry the 5. 9 times 0 is 0, plus 5 is 5. 9 times 2 is 18. Okay, now I'm doing the tens place, so I have to put that 0 in the ones place. 7 times 6 is 42, so write the 2, carry a 4. 7 times 0 is 0, plus 4 is 4. 7 times 2 is 14. And then I add. 4 plus 0 is 4. 5 plus 2 is 7. 8 plus 4 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 4 plus 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And then that 1 drops down. And then we just need to count up the decimal places. So here, there are 2 decimal places. And here, there is 1. So it's going to become 2 plus 1, which is 3. So that means there's going to have 3 decimal places in our answer. 1, 2, 3. So that means our decimal goes right there. So our answer is 16.274. That is our answer. All right, perfect. On to the next problem, number 6. So we have negative 4.89 times 0.6. So with this problem, we have a negative multiplied by a positive again. So whenever you're doing a negative times a positive, you know that your answer is going to be negative. So that's our answer. Our answer is going to be negative, so that's going to come into play at the end, so we can't forget about that. And now we're just going to multiply. We're going to write the numbers down. So we have 4.89 and 0.6. Multiplying. 6 times 9 is 54. Write the 4, carry the 5. 6 times 8 is 48, plus 5 would be 53. Write the 3, carry the 5. 48 plus 5, yeah, 53. And then 6 times 4 is 24, plus 5 would be 29. And then there's just a 0 there, so we're good, we're done. Now we need to count up the decimal places. So for this number, there is 1, 2 decimals places, and then here there's 1. So 2 plus 1 equals 3. So that means there's going to be 3 decimal places in our answer. So there's 1, 2, 3. 3 decimal places, which means the decimal goes right there. So our answer is 2.934. However, we cannot forget that it was a negative times a positive. Whenever you have a negative times a positive, your answer is going to be negative. So we got to write in that negative. So the answer is negative 2.934. Awesome. If you got that one right, great job. Okay, on to number 7. This is the last one on this page. So we have a positive multiplied by a negative number again. So a positive times a negative is going to be a negative. So that's what our answer is. We need to remember that. Our answer is going to be negative. Okay? And then we're just going to do the multiplication. So we're going to write the problems down. 8.23 and 4.2. And then we multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 8 is 16. We're going to the tens place, so I need to put a 0 in that ones place. 4 times 3 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 4 times 8 is 32. And then we add. 6 plus 0 is 6. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 plus 9 is 15. Write the 5, carry the 1. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, and then 3. Now we just need to figure out where that decimal place is. So we have 2 decimal places here and 1 decimal place there. So 2 plus 1 is 3, which means our answer is going to have 3 decimal places. 1, 2, 3. So there we go. The decimal goes right there. So our answer is 34.566. So if you got that right, yoku dekimashita. That's Japanese for you did a good job, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye. See you later. Bye-bye.